Most men think attraction starts with looks or money, but the truth is, it starts with how you talk. Women can instantly feel whether a man is grounded, confident, and high value, or insecure and trying too hard. In this video, I'll break down 5 powerful ways high value men talk to women and why women can't help but chase them when they do. Presence isn't loud or dominant, it's steady. It's that quiet energy that fills the space without forcing itself. When a high-value man enters a room, he doesn't need to demand attention. His posture, eye contact, and composure already speak for him. He doesn't rush to prove who he is. He allows his energy to communicate it. Women are naturally drawn to that kind of calm authority because it signals emotional maturity and self-control. When a man operates from presence, he doesn't chase validation, and that instantly shifts the power dynamic. Instead of trying to impress, he observes, listens, and connects from a place of grounded curiosity. When you're present, you listen differently. You're not waiting for your turn to talk or thinking about what would make you sound interesting. You actually hear her tone, her words, her emotions behind them. This kind of attentive listening makes women feel seen and understood, which is one of the most powerful forms of attraction. Most men talk to get attention. A high-value man listens to create connection. And the moment a woman feels truly heard, she starts chasing that feeling. Not the man himself, but the way he makes her feel in his presence. Presence also shows up in the way you respond. You don't overreact to jokes, compliments, or even rejection. You stay emotionally neutral, confident in who you are. If she teases you, you smile. If she tests you, you stay composed. That emotional stability is what differentiates you from men who crumble under pressure. It shows you're not controlled by the external, not by approval, not by attention, and not by the fear of loss. When a woman senses that level of inner strength, she subconsciously associates it with safety and leadership. She relaxes around you because your energy is stable. Developing presence takes practice. It's not about memorizing scripts or mimicking confidence. It's about reconnecting with your body and awareness. Before you speak, take a breath. Slow down. Notice your tone, your pace, your body language. Are you rushing to impress, or are you allowing the moment to unfold naturally? High-value men operate from a sense of calm control. They don't speak to fill silence. They let silence work for them. The pause between words, the relaxed posture, the direct yet warm eye contact, these subtle cues speak louder than anything rehearsed. Presence over performance means you value authenticity over approval. You're not acting to gain interest, you're showing up as yourself and letting others decide if they resonate with that energy. When you stop performing, you stop creating tension. Conversations become natural and attraction grows effortlessly because it's rooted in truth, not pretense. A woman feels drawn to the man who doesn't need to be liked, the one who's already complete without her validation. That kind of man is rare, and his presence alone sets him apart from the crowd. One of the most defining traits of a high-value man is his ability to control his emotions, not suppress them, but express them with purpose and restraint. In a world where so many men are reactive, emotionally unstable, or overly dependent on external validation, emotional control becomes a rare and highly attractive quality. When a man speaks with calm conviction, when he can hold his ground without losing composure, it signals strength. Women are instinctively drawn to that because emotional control represents stability and leadership. It tells her that you are not easily swayed by moods, opinions, or circumstances. You remain centered no matter what happens around you. Controlled emotional expression isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about maintaining a calm center even when emotions run high. When you talk to a woman, she is subconsciously observing how you handle pressure, disagreement, and vulnerability. If your tone fluctuates too much, if you become defensive or overly excited to please her, she can sense that your emotions are easily influenced by her reaction. That instantly shifts the dynamic. She feels your energy chasing hers instead of standing strong on its own. A high-value man doesn't let that happen. He allows emotions to surface, but he regulates them. He chooses when to express and when to stay silent, and that balance keeps his communication powerful. Imagine a conversation where a woman tests your patience. Maybe she disagrees with something you said or challenges your confidence. Most men react by becoming defensive, over-explaining, or trying to win her approval back. The high-value man doesn't. He takes a breath, looks at her calmly, and responds with clarity rather than emotion. That small difference completely changes the dynamic. Instead of appearing fragile or insecure, he comes across as grounded and composed. His steadiness communicates that he is not seeking emotional permission from her. He already possesses his own validation. Women pick up on that instantly, and it creates a subtle attraction built on respect. Emotional control also shows in tone and pacing. The way you speak can either draw a woman in or push her away. Speaking too fast, too loud, or too emotionally charged signals nervousness or desperation. A calm, measured voice shows control and self-awareness. When a man slows down his speech and maintains a stable tone, it gives weight to his words. It tells her that he means what he says and that he's not trying to impress. The emotional energy behind his words feels stable and trustworthy. This form of communication disarms a woman because it contrasts with the chaos she often encounters in others. Controlled emotional expression doesn't mean avoiding vulnerability. High-value men are not afraid to express feelings. They just do it from a position of strength, not neediness. If a man feels affection, he expresses it directly without seeking something in return. If he feels hurt or disappointed, he communicates it without blame. That kind of maturity is rare. It shows emotional intelligence, the ability to feel deeply while remaining grounded. Women respect that balance because it feels authentic and masculine at the same time. It shows her that he's emotionally aware yet not ruled by emotion. When you control your emotions, you also control the emotional atmosphere of the interaction. Women naturally attune to a man's energy. If your energy is calm and composed, she mirrors that. If you are anxious or reactive, she feels unsafe and starts to pull away. A high-value man understands this dynamic and uses his emotional steadiness as silent influence. He leads the tone of the conversation by being grounded. This creates a sense of safety and attraction that no amount of charm or words can replace. Practicing controlled emotional expression starts with awareness. Pay attention to your triggers. What makes you anxious, angry, or eager to please? Notice when your voice rises, when your breathing quickens, or when your tone shifts to prove something. Those are signs of emotional reactivity. A high-value man doesn't ignore them, he learns to pause before reacting. That pause is power. It's the space between impulse and action where you decide how to respond instead of letting emotion decide for you. Over time, this becomes a habit, a natural way of being that radiates authority, confidence, and emotional depth. One of the most underrated qualities of a high-value man is his ability to use silence as a tool, not as a weakness. Most men feel uncomfortable with pauses in conversation. They rush to fill the space with words, jokes, or explanations because silence makes them feel exposed. But a high-value man understands that silence, when used with intention, creates power. It shows control, confidence, and emotional maturity. When he speaks, his words carry weight because he doesn't waste them. He's not talking just to be heard. He speaks because he has something meaningful to say. That kind of restraint communicates authority without aggression. Purposeful silence draws attention because it breaks patterns. In a world full of noise and constant talking, a calm, quiet presence feels magnetic. Women are naturally intrigued by men who are comfortable with silence because it signals that he doesn't need to seek approval through words. His energy does the talking. When a man can sit in silence, maintaining relaxed eye contact, grounded body language, and a calm facial expression, it communicates self-assurance. He's not uncomfortable with the moment and he's not trying to entertain. That level of composure makes her feel his presence more deeply than any clever line ever could. Silence also creates anticipation. When you take a pause before responding, you make people listen more closely. It adds gravity to your words. Women notice this subtle control. The pause shows you are thoughtful, deliberate, and not emotionally reactive. It gives the impression that you think before you speak, and that level of awareness communicates intelligence and confidence. Most people speak to fill space. The high-value man lets space work for him. His silences become moments of power. Moments where the other person leans in, curious about what he's going to say next. Purposeful silence also builds emotional tension in a healthy way. In romantic communication, silence can be incredibly attractive when combined with confident body language. For example, maintaining steady eye contact without rushing to speak creates an unspoken connection. It allows both energies to meet in the space between words. A man who knows how to hold that silence with confidence communicates strength and comfort in his masculinity. It's not about intimidation, it's about presence and control. The woman feels it, not through what he says, but through what he doesn't say. Using silence effectively requires emotional discipline. It's not the absence of communication, it's communication without noise. It's about knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to let the moment breathe. High-value men understand timing. They realize that too many words dilute meaning. Silence allows emotions, thoughts, and chemistry to unfold naturally. It creates space for authenticity to surface, and that makes interactions more genuine. Learning to master purposeful silence begins with self-awareness. Pay attention to when you talk just to avoid discomfort. Notice how often you interrupt or rush to respond. Those habits come from insecurity. The belief that silence means disinterest or awkwardness, but in truth, silence shows comfort. It demonstrates that you don't need constant validation to feel secure in a conversation. You can hold space without losing your balance. Over time, your calm silence becomes your strength, a quiet signal of confidence that women can feel instantly. It tells them you are not trying to impress. You are already enough without saying a word. Respectful assertiveness is one of the clearest markers of a high-value man. It's the balance between strength and empathy, confidence and understanding. Many men swing to extremes. They're either too passive, afraid to express what they want, or too aggressive, trying to dominate the conversation. A high-value man, however, communicates from the middle ground. He knows his boundaries, his standards, and his values, and he expresses them clearly without disrespecting others. This type of assertiveness doesn't push people away. It draws them closer because it feels stable, mature, and trustworthy. When a man speaks with respectful assertiveness, his tone is calm but firm. He doesn't raise his voice to gain authority. His composure is authority. He's comfortable expressing disagreement, but he never needs to insult or overpower anyone to prove his point. Women feel safe and respected around this kind of energy because it shows self-control and integrity. He can stand up for himself while still being kind. That's rare. Most people either avoid conflict or become defensive when challenged. A high-value man doesn't avoid tension, he manages it with emotional intelligence, showing that he can handle uncomfortable moments without losing his balance. Assertiveness is not about control, it's about clarity. It means knowing what you want, what you will tolerate, and what you will not, then communicating that without guilt or fear. When a woman interacts with a man who has this level of clarity, she feels his confidence immediately. He doesn't need to manipulate or chase. He states what he desires in a direct yet respectful manner. For instance, instead of saying, "whatever you want," or "I don't care," he says, "I prefer this, but I'm open to hearing your thoughts." That sentence alone shows leadership and openness, a powerful combination that builds attraction and trust simultaneously. Body language also plays a major role in assertive communication. High-value men use steady eye contact, relaxed posture, and deliberate movements. They don't fidget, over-gesture, or shrink when they speak. Their body mirrors their words, composed, confident, and grounded. Women sense this alignment immediately. It creates a feeling of security, as though she's talking to someone who knows who he is and where he's going. Assertive men don't try to dominate space. They own their space naturally. Their presence alone is enough to communicate confidence without force. In relationships or early conversations, respectful assertiveness builds emotional polarity. Women feel more feminine and relaxed around a man who knows how to lead without controlling. For example, he might plan a date and confidently suggest what they'll do, but he remains open to her input. This approach creates trust because it shows that he's decisive yet considerate. It's the difference between saying, "you choose, I don't care," and saying, "I made a reservation here. I think you'll love it." That confidence paired with consideration creates magnetic chemistry. Developing respectful assertiveness takes practice. It starts by getting comfortable with your own voice, knowing your needs, and standing by them without apology. It means speaking truthfully even when it's uncomfortable and doing it with empathy, not ego. Over time, this becomes your natural state of communication. You stop chasing approval and start commanding respect through your calm, confident clarity. Women don't just listen to what you say, they feel the conviction behind your words. That energy makes them feel safe, intrigued, and deeply drawn to your presence. A high-value man understands that meaningful conversation is not about talking at someone. It's about creating a flow of genuine connection through curiosity. Most men approach conversations with the goal of impressing, showing off their achievements, or trying to say the right thing to get attention. But women can feel when a man's questions come from strategy rather than sincerity. Curiosity-driven communication is different. It comes from a place of grounded confidence, a desire to truly understand who she is, how she thinks, and what drives her. A high-value man isn't trying to extract approval. He's exploring her world while staying fully centered in his own. Curiosity is powerful because it makes a woman feel seen. Most people listen to respond, not to understand. But when a man listens with genuine interest, when his questions are thoughtful and open-ended, it instantly deepens the interaction. He's not asking basic surface questions like, "What do you do?" or "Where are you from?" He goes deeper. "What made you choose that career?" or "What kind of experiences shape the way you see relationships?" These types of questions signal emotional intelligence and depth. They invite her to open up, reflect, and engage on a level that most conversations never reach. That emotional depth creates an invisible bond, not because of charm, but because of awareness. Curiosity-driven communication also shows emotional balance. When a man asks questions calmly, without the need to control the conversation, it reveals that he's comfortable in both silence and dialogue. He's not interrogating, he's engaging. His tone stays soft, his energy relaxed. The focus isn't on proving himself, it's on understanding her perspective. This balance between attentiveness and composure builds attraction naturally. Women sense that he values connection over performance, and that difference makes him unforgettable. A woman will always remember how she felt during a conversation, not what was said. If she feels understood, safe, and intellectually stimulated, she starts associating those feelings with you. Another part of curiosity-driven communication is active listening. A high-value man doesn't just ask a question and wait for his turn to speak. He listens carefully to every detail, responds thoughtfully, and builds on what she shares. If she talks about her ambitions, he asks what motivates her. If she mentions a challenge, he acknowledges it without trying to fix it. That validation, that ability to listen without judgment, creates trust. It shows emotional maturity, something that stands out immediately in a world full of distractions and superficial talk. When a man listens in this way, he allows her to relax, open up, and reveal her authentic self. Curiosity also demonstrates confidence. Insecure men often avoid deep questions because they fear awkwardness or rejection. They stick to safe topics or humor to mask discomfort. But high-value men aren't afraid of emotional depth. They know that meaningful questions don't make them vulnerable. They make them magnetic. They're not afraid to ask, "What kind of person inspires you?" or "What's something you've learned about yourself recently?" Because they're not chasing approval, they're creating connection. This kind of communication reflects a man who's comfortable in his masculinity and emotionally aware enough to explore beyond small talk. Curiosity-driven questions also shift the power dynamic. Instead of trying to win her over, you invite her to participate. You're not performing, you're discovering. That changes the energy completely. She feels your calm leadership and emotional intelligence through your attentiveness. It's not about trying to impress, it's about being genuinely engaged. The woman begins to feel more invested in the interaction because she's sharing her inner world, something she doesn't do with everyone. That emotional investment builds attraction far more effectively than compliments or charm ever could. To practice curiosity-driven communication, focus on your intent. Ask yourself, am I asking to connect or to impress? The right intent naturally shapes your tone, pace, and presence. Keep your questions open, your energy grounded, and your attention fully on her responses. Don't rush to comment or advise. Let her words breathe. The more you listen, the more she'll reveal. Over time, this becomes your natural communication style, one that radiates calm confidence and emotional depth. Through genuine curiosity, you stop being just another man who talks. You become the man who understands, and that distinction is what makes women chase your presence. In today's world, many men lose this polarity without realizing it. They either become overly dominant, trying to control and impress, or they swing to the opposite extreme, becoming passive, agreeable, and emotionally dependent. Both extremes destroy attraction. Women don't want to compete with a man's energy, and they don't want to mother it either. They want to feel it, that stable, grounded masculine presence that allows them to soften. A high-value man creates this effect not through power or pride, but through internal balance. His energy is calm yet strong, kind yet unshakable. When he speaks, his tone is steady. When he listens, he's fully there. That steadiness makes a woman feel safe enough to be more expressive and open, deepening the polarity between them. Positive polarity begins with emotional stability. A man who is easily affected by emotions, his or hers, loses his grounding. The moment he reacts impulsively or seeks reassurance, he steps out of his masculine frame. But when he maintains composure, even in emotionally charged situations, he communicates reliability. This doesn't mean he suppresses emotions, it means he channels them with awareness. His calmness becomes magnetic because it's rare. When a woman senses that emotional steadiness, she relaxes into her feminine nature. She becomes more playful, expressive, and affectionate. The contrast between his stillness and her movement is what creates that powerful pull neither can quite explain. Another part of positive polarity is leadership, not control, but direction. High-value men naturally guide the tone of the interaction. They take initiative, make decisions, and communicate with purpose. Whether it's choosing where to go on a date or steering the conversation with confidence, their presence provides structure. Women respond deeply to that because it allows them to flow without needing to take charge. Masculine energy leads not by force, but by clarity and consistency. When a man knows what he wants and acts on it calmly, it signals strength and certainty. That kind of direction is deeply attractive because it allows the feminine to relax and trust the experience. Positive polarity also thrives on appreciation. Masculine and feminine energy are not in competition, they complement each other. A high-value man doesn't try to outshine a woman's emotional expressiveness. He appreciates it. He enjoys her laughter, her enthusiasm, her warmth. He doesn't mock or diminish it. He anchors it. When she feels that her feminine energy is valued, she leans into it more. This creates a magnetic cycle. His calm confidence fuels her openness, and her openness amplifies his strength. The result is chemistry that feels natural, effortless, and alive. Maintaining polarity also means avoiding emotional neediness. A man who constantly seeks reassurance or approval drains the energy of the interaction. The high-value man, however, is complete on his own. He shares his energy, not because he needs validation, but because he enjoys connection. That independence allows him to interact from abundance, not scarcity. He's not chasing, he's inviting. This subtle difference transforms how women respond to him. His confidence feels peaceful, not performative, and his attention feels empowering, not desperate. Cultivating positive polarity starts with self-awareness. It's about recognizing when you're slipping into passivity or aggression and returning to balance. It's about grounding yourself before you speak, leading with calm conviction, and valuing feminine energy rather than resisting it. The more a man embraces his masculine nature through purpose, discipline, and emotional control, the stronger his polarity becomes. He doesn't need to prove his worth because his energy already communicates it. Women can feel this difference immediately. His presence doesn't just attract, it transforms the entire interaction into something magnetic, natural, and deeply human.